Hi everyone, and welcome to another NGWA Industry Connected video. Today I'm with Scott Burroughs, Vice President of Mather Sons Pump Svc Incorporated in Vancouver, Washington. Welcome, Scott. Thanks for your time today.
Yeah, hi Mike. Thanks for having me.
You bet. Well, to begin, I understand that you're seeing permit denials for residential irrigation exempt wells. What's going on there? Can you share what's going on?
Yeah, unfortunately we are, and I give people a little more context. We're out of Vancouver, Washington, state. So the very northwest corner of the country, and these are kind of enforced locally in the state. So, you know, our position is that an exempt well is a water right. It's just exempt from a full-blown permitting type of process and things. And what we're seeing now is actually some Washington administrative code from back, I believe, from 2009 that is just now starting to be changing how it's enforced. And then, as I said before, it's still area by area within the state. So unfortunately, it's kind of an old issue that's come to light again with what they call mandatory hookups to municipal water. So you know, we're seeing customers that are being told that they can't drill well, they have to hook up to municipal water, and the determining factors are still pretty loose on that. Comes down to things like they call them timeliness and availability, or reasonableness, having to do with theoretically some sort of cost measure, but and they're putting it back to the customers to come back and argue what these things are. But in reality, I think they have extremely little say in it. So on top of the forced municipal hookup, theoretically, you would then be able, once you're hooked up, still be able to drill your exempt irrigation well if you have livestock, you know, want a small garden or something like that, and we're actually seeing where they're just not allowing you to do that. And the Washington State Groundwater Association actually put out a really nice position paper in their newsletter. I think they had it in both the 2020 winter edition and then the 2021 spring edition. So there's a lot of great content there. That was something I really appreciated. I'm working now. I want to try and get that onto my website so my customers can see that. But it shouldn't take me too much longer to be able to put that into my blog. But I mean, as a group, we work closely with ecology and things, and you know, our factual scientific position and thing is that, you know, the western side of the state pretty much has a lot of water, and we really maybe shouldn't be denying these permits. So I'm starting to shift some of my time away from, you know, the everyday 24-hour disinformation news cycle, and unfortunately, this isn't something we've kept up on a lot over the years, and it is really complex. And so I'm instead kind of putting more my time into things that are more tangible, like, you know, that are affecting our industry, and trying to keep up on them instead, and do what we can to you know, keep people in water, affordable water.
Right. Well, be sure to check back with you and your website blog to and the Washington State Association website for updates on.
Yeah, I have come across a lot of other great. It's been a process, and it is I think just kind of one day at a time, trying to keep up on it. One thing I've found is a few important resources. The Water Systems Council has been phenomenal and actually puts out a lot of great print resources for our industry, to help keep us educated. Also, the Building Industry Association of Washington, we've been a member of them for, I don't know, 2 or 3 decades, but I hadn't been to any of their events until this last week for probably a decade. And they actually have a lot of resources also. They're nationally, they're part of the National Association of Home Builders. So I don't know if it's called some different things throughout the country, but and I'm working, as I'm learning, I'm trying to talk with my industry sales personnel about what I'm figuring out too, and because they're really the people bouncing around in our industry, keeping everybody up to date, and probably one of our best resources as far as everybody actually knowing what's going on. I mean, this was a 2009 WAC, and I mean, it kind of came out of nowhere for us. So, and now we're seeing it affect us for sure.
Well, related to that affecting you, we've been also hearing about delays in product availability in the water well market. Has that been the case in the irrigation market that you serve? If so, how's that affected your business?
Yeah, it is, absolutely. So the two are very closely related, right? So a lot of the same manufacturers, a lot of the same suppliers, a lot of the same raw material goods as far as steel, PVC, HDPE, any sort of resins. So all of this stuff is just been going crazy, and it's really hard for the contractors to keep up on. So we're switching to some alternative products that some we've never used before, like moving away from galvanized because of both the cost and availability. And now we're using some Schedule 120 PVC, which isn't what we consider ideal for where we're at, but it's working, and we can get it, and the price is much better. So just trying to keep up with the pricing is really important. Our pricing has to go up along with our costs, and like I said, it's hard for the contractors to keep up on that, but a guy can really get himself in trouble in a hurry if you're not. So.
And related to that too, just curious, how have you modified your purchasing method on to account for lead times and whatnot?
Oh yeah, I'm afraid so.
Mm-hmm.
My stock is through the roof, and I mean, that's you have to have product in this industry, and we've really beefed up to take care of our customers so that we can service them, and it's working so far, but again, it's harder, and I'm really planning further out ahead, which has some uncertainty, and at some point we'd really love to see those inventory levels come back down to a little more normal, and product, basically product availability. So some of the stuff that we're can't get, we'd love to be able to buy again. We had another 6% price increase today, notice that we saw. So I mean, it's like one after another. Some of them are not only pretty extreme, but I mean, they're starting to really compound. It's like they hit you get it's 1 month, and then another couple months later. I mean, I'm sure we have some product groups that we're on our 3rd or 4th increase now, probably this year, within however many months. too recently.
Yeah, yeah. Well, speaking of products, checking in with you too as well on the trends. Have you seen any product trends in the irrigation market the last few years? Be it line shaft turbine pumps, an increase in use of those, or any other products?
Well, we're kind of an avid line shaft house. I don't know if this will work or not, but you can maybe see our company logo there with a discharge head and a vertical motor on top. So
Yeah.
I don't know that I mean, the line shaft market's good. I would say I don't know how much more than usual. As far as trends we're seeing, I think that with turbines being definitely a really engineered specialty product, the agricultural turbines are probably more available than I think I've ever seen them before. So very possibly seeing some more of them in that regard, just being more available.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on the application, there's always a little bit of a back and forth between what's the best application, of course, but the cost back and forth between a turbine and a sub-turbine. So with the really volatile pricing right now, you might see some of that changing out, where maybe subs between the large wire pricing is now different than comparing to column tube and shaft, and as far as which way might be actually the most cost effective for the customer's initial outlay. So, and there's always the long-term efficiency costs too that hopefully the customer is considering. So.
And related to that, what are the most common pieces that are overlooked that are required for an efficient irrigation system in your mind?
A good pump company. But I mean, jokingly, but also not. I mean, the customer, there's a lot of ways to try and do something, or they may just not know where to go for something, or you may not be coming to mind, but but that's definitely the best place to start, is with a good pump company. And then it's tons of product side things, of course, right? Like not misapplying variable frequency drives. I mean, having some, at least a rough idea what your systems curve and application look like. Like there's a lot of applications where, say, a drive just isn't necessary, which actually makes the system less efficient. If you're filling a pond or reservoir, and yet we do actually go out in the field and see drives put onto these systems more regularly than you would think. So along that note, also making your system less efficient would be line load filters, but they are often necessary, and just talking about things that are often overlooked sometimes. So those two are often needed in the drive application. Just a good control valve, jockey pump, a master valve, all of those things can really help with efficiency. So lots of other options too.
Okay. Sure. And curious, what do you think are the biggest water issues facing irrigators today? Kind of transitioning back to that issue of what the irrigators are facing today, but
yeah. Well, I mean, the pricing issue is, it's not a joke. for them for sure. I mean, that's throw some hiccups for the short term. The budgets are probably going to have to adjust if things don't end up coming back down. Some of the commodities I certainly think and hope will come back down, but a lot of other pricing probably we're not really expecting that. But who am I to say? You know, the water rights are an ongoing challenge for them, along with you know, like in the eastern side of the state here and down the west coast in California. You know, the dropping water table is definitely an issue. That's another what I call pretty major hiccup. But Washington State's also seeing corporate activity buying up water rights. So again, I'm no expert, but that I find that both interesting and possibly quite concerning. Just as far as, again, an availability issue. So just keeping up. I know with these, you know, the small farms seem to be going away. I think I know some like a 5-acre apple farm that, you know, it's just so much going on today. It's hard to keep up. And, you know, some of these places do just throw in the towel and say, you know, I think I've had enough. And everywhere's different. But.
Sure. Yeah.
Another thing I'm curious about there is just kind of like what the international landscape's going to do. Because it again, the little bit I know about it, it seems like that has potential to really impact, you know, the United States agriculture as a whole, what kind of revenues they're bringing in, which trickle down into what they end up buying from us. So, and the weather.
And the weather, yes.
Always the weather.
Are you seeing, yeah, like you said, these small family farms, that seems to be the case in many pockets of the country that are getting replaced by larger size farms. So that seems to be the case as well in your part of the country.
Yeah, it sure does. Yep.
Yeah.
Probably all I can say, unfortunately. It's do what we can.
Yeah. Well, and I get moving on to the COVID-19 coronavirus pandemic. Just wanted to see about the adaptations that either you or your company have made that remain today. Is there anything that stands out that you want to share?
Yeah. I mean, we're still driving multiple vehicles to job sites. You know, trying to keep people separated that way. So that adds pretty significant costing for us. Love to see things keep calming down where that particular piece especially maybe wouldn't have to happen anymore. You know, we're masking up and being extra cautious. If someone's you know, thinks they're not feeling well at all, we're encouraging them to stay home and keeping the office extra clean. Hopefully that might stick around.
And what have you personally learned about conducting business during this pandemic in 2020 and into 2021? And have you leaned on any specific resources to help you along the way?
Oh, well, I've learned that life must go on, and it's kind of a little bit, shouldn't be too much of a downer, but in some ways it gets harder every year. I mean, this if we're just really thankful to be open, operating things, but you know, I mean, so many of the businesses have had tremendous trouble with it. If they are still open, you know, I mean, we went through a stretch here where that was all I was doing every day was trying to keep up with COVID, and eventually we, you know, kind of felt like we'd done everything we could, I guess, and got used to it, settled into more of the new norm. So, yeah.
Yeah. And any business resources that you've referred to or kind of monitored to help you along the way?
Well, I mean, again, just trying to keep up with our industry stuff. I mentioned the building industry earlier. They've had some resources. Obviously, all the state and local agencies. We're probably like everybody. Checking their websites regularly, seeing what's going on, and making sure everything's still as we thought it was.
And lastly, speaking of the family farms and them becoming fewer and fewer, the small family farms, which is generally historically been a place where our industry looks to recruit and hire new employees. How has your company gone about recruiting and hiring new employees, and what has been successful for you?
Yeah, I think it's hard nationwide, like it has been. There seems to have been for quite some time now, but I think the biggest thing for us is persistence. It's always a work in progress, and like everything in business, it's changing quickly. So I have a conscious effort to try and keep up with that. I mean, we're hiring right now. I'm always interested in experienced personnel. I know what I wanted to tell you. I mean, one thing that I think has worked for us and has been pretty important is we also concentrate pretty hard on not hiring the wrong personnel. And so we're really focused on quality candidates who are going to be the right fit for the company. We have a lot of long-term employees. We have one turbine pump application engineer here. He's been with us 50 years, and this is his last year. I'm pretty sure of it. It's pretty phenomenal. I think a lot of people out there in the industry know him. His name's Mike Strickland, and he's been amazing. So, one thing for our entry level positions that's worked is Indeed. I don't know if you saw any NCAA March Madness, but you probably would have seen their ads like every other 5 minutes. So they've been really good. When I've tried anything else, it just doesn't seem to be worth it. So, we just kind of promote the value of water to our people also. On my website, there's a great resource that NGWA put out on my hiring page, Mather Pump /employment. It's I've linked in there that NGWA article talking about why people want to be in our industry, and it is a great industry to be in. So, keeping that front of mind is important. And we try and compete. The Washington State minimum wage next year will be the last year that it's set to go up, but it'll be, I think, like $14.60 or $14.80. So we're keeping up to speed there. We have competing with great benefits. I'm actually should mention I'm super proud this year that I was finally able to bring on a 401k with matching for our employees. So, we have 100% company paid Regents Blue Cross PPO medical for the employee. So they're not contributing to that. We're paying all of that for them. So we just try and be mindful of it and keep up to date. And I think the biggest thing is work hard at it, and because there's once or twice a year, it's time to hire. So we'll just do the best we can.
Well, this has been informative, Scott. Thanks again for your time today. Really appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Mike. Appreciate the opportunity. It's nice talking with you again.
Yeah, likewise.